A motion by Helmut.
Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those people that make laws and regulations that affect you out there.
That's right, Elgin. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you went and elected and will soon re-elect if you choose the same ones. Mm-hmm. And the committees and the commissions that make decisions that affect you out there, whether you chose to go to that meeting or not. And the result could be a
taxing
situation.
Yes, and there also could be rumors spread, so you want to make sure that you catch these meetings to learn the difference between the rumors and what's fact out there. Well, now, this guy has a pretty good history of starting these rumors.
And he has a good history of finishing them.
Yeah, right.
And the rumors have their little cousins.
Humor.
Yeah,
and it'll bubble to the top.
It'll bubble to the top on occasion.
And the good thing is that if you don't catch the meeting, let's say you don't, you could attend by watching us, and you could learn.
That's right.
The ins and
OCC
outs.
TV, click on programs.
And there we are. And you can learn what's going on in these various meetings.
Day after day,
you know
week
what?
after what?
You did mention something, and that is the primaries are coming up in August
and
the election in November.
In November, that's right.
So you folks will get an opportunity to vote for village council people. I think there's one seat that's coming up, and a number of state positions are.
And if you're young enough, like Elgin and I, you've already received an absentee ballot application in the mail.
Yes, you got yours already.
Yes, I did.
Oh,
but I like going to the the voting area and seeing all the people turn out. And
I think they send the really old people.
You know me about pushing buttons. I love to push those buttons.
Yes, I know. He pushes a lot of buttons, folks, I got to tell you. But anyway, we're going to get to a couple of meetings that occurred. One was the Oxford Board of Education. Now, you do know that we're covering the Board of Education meetings now.
That's true.
Since John Ochins is no longer with the station here. And boy, do we miss John Ochins.
Oh, gosh, he was great.
Yep. So anyway, the Oxford Board of Education. The second one we're going to try to catch up on, one which you should know a lot about, and that's the Oxford Cable Communications Commission.
Oxford Area Cable Communication Commission.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay, and you were there.
I was there.
Right. So we'll learn more about that when we get to it, folks. But first, let's talk about the Oxford Board of Education, which occurred on June 26th. Mr. McDonald serves on that board. Brasington serves on the board. Let me see, who else? Stepik. Guthrie serves on the board as well. Jenny Guthrie. I guess she has some serious health issues going on. So
okay.
She was actually absent at this meeting.
Okay.
And they did pray for her at the beginning of the meeting.
Well.
And Bailey serves on the board as a trustee. Delisantro, who has served on the board for a number of years, and Schaefer serves on the board. They start, of course, with the Pledge of Allegiance, preliminaries, silent prayer for Jenny Guthrie, and the agenda.
Now that school is out?
Now that school is out. Well, school may be out for the kids, but the school is not out for the board. They
That's right.
continue to work.
And plan.
And help spend some of your money. It'll come in handy. Only money that you've approved, by the way. And the first thing they want to talk about, of course, the agenda, and they needed approval for it. They added a couple of items to the agenda. One was the update for Crossroads. Gentleman was there that spoke about what Crossroads provides for the kids over there. Mm-hmm. And also, let me see, College Board, what do they want to say? Quotas, I guess.
Quotas?
Yeah, something along that line. Let's just say quotas. We'll make this one up. Okay.
Oh.
Anyway, so.
On a wing and a prayer.
Yeah, not quotas. The quotas is akin to quote. They're going to get quotes for college, that kind of thing. You know, for kids.
Quotes?
For the future, quotes.
Have to take 3 bids or what?
In this case, 35 bids. And that was strictly a rumor. Started by him.
With regard to what?
Nothing. Okay. We're going to go on to the next thing.
Oh, before we get dug in too deep there.
We're dug in pretty deep. They have a shovel? No, they have a shovel. Okay, consent agenda. June 12th, minutes, bills for May, and recommendations for employment were the 2 things on the consent agenda. Of course, it was approved to go forward with it. Crossroads presentation. Guy is I can't recall what his last name is. First name is Guy. Mm-hmm. But he is the principal for the school system over there. And he said that there are 5 teachers. There's a full-time social worker, a secretary, and of course he's the principal. And
What grade range do they encompass?
they encompass, they're really not grades because a lot of these kids are delinquent from school. I mean, a lot of them didn't even pass the 2nd or 3rd grade level.
Okay.
That kind of thing. I mean, they skipped school and
Well, I
didn't
just figured
attend.
if there was
They're truant.
maybe an elementary to middle and then transition into Oxford High or something
No.
like that. I don't know.
Well, I think each child is handled separately, independently, and they're tested and so forth when they come in.
I know when I first came to Michigan, I started with Oxford High back in 58.
Way back then.
I was in high school, and there were
Excuse me.
kids from what was then Camp Oakland going to Oxford High.
Camp Oakland.
Yeah.
You sure you weren't in Camp Oakland?
No.
Just checking. Okay. But anyway, they've got quite a program going over there. They have what they call 3 tracks. One is the GED track. In other words, if a kid is capable of getting into the GED program, getting their high school diploma. Another one is what they call the regular proponent track, which would be the everyday school, day-to-day scholastics that you learn. And the third one is the certificate of completion track. In other words, you have to reach a certain plateau level of education to get a certificate, from the school.
I see.
So there's 3 different levels. And what's interesting to note here is that the kids involved in the GED program, actually 76% roughly in that neighborhood, they passed the GED on the first run by. So
They got some good teachers.
right. And the point that the principal was making is these kids, when they come into this program, they're virtually lost.
Yeah.
They are beginning at ground zero.
And
He
they're
said if
doing a
there's
really good
anything
job
below,
over there.
Yeah, he said if there's anything below ground zero, that's where they would be. And so they really make a lot of progress. And there's a couple ways in which they do it. They have,
They got knocked down, but they got up again.
they did. And actually one of the kids now, I guess, is not only passed GED now, is out of the program, has a full-time job, is doing very well. Is looking at college education, getting an education, that
Good
kind of
for them.
thing. Yep. So good work those folks are doing over there. Next thing that they did talk about was the bond development program that they have. And
They're
Chuck-
developing a bond, or they've got a bond
no,
for
they have a
future
bo-
development?
They have a bond, and there's a certain amount of money put into this bond. And the presentation was given by Chuck Lewis. And Chuck Lewis said that there's an estimated, at the beginning, $7.8 million to be used in this bond program. And he said right now, the amount that they've provided bids with is $7.65 in terms of funds. And however, it was interrupted by Tim Throne, who's the supervisor of the school system, superintendent, and he said that the actual is like $9 million, which includes the buses as well. They're going to be new buses, and we'll talk about that.
Are we talking 9 million or 9 mils?
9 million total instead of.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, you
Yeah,
said. No.
nice try. Anyway, we'll talk more about that when we come back. Thanks for the correction.
Hi, this is Dave Kenny. You can catch me on Auto Talk and Science in the News as part of Oxford News This Week. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 12 noon, 6:30 p.m., and 11 p.m. Also, you can catch us on the weekend at 12 noon and 11 p.m. on Saturday and at 6:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. on Sunday. See you there.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we've been talking about the school board, the education for Oxford school system.
And bonds.
And bonds, bond development is what it's called. And there's monies appropriated for the bonding, roughly about $9 million, which includes a couple of buses, and also the roof of the building for the high school needs to be repaired.
The high school?
High school.
Already?
Yep, there's a couple
Well.
levels of roof there. One is they're going to use shingles. The other part is a flat roof. So
Okay.
they'll probably use a membrane roof for that. Bids are in progress, so it looks as though the repairs are going to be on schedule at this point, and that was the final word given. Now the question came up, talk about final words, what about metal roof? Can you do a metal roof? Well, they said metal roof would be quite a bit more money, so that's why they're not contemplating going on a metal roof.
What would it amortize over a 10-year period.
That's what I was thinking. You know, a metal roof actually will last you, what, 50, 60 years or so?
Really?
Yeah, they
Wow.
last a long time, longevity. So you really have to weigh that as to the cost. But I think they've also set in their mind the way they're going to do this at this point.
And if it was a lot more expensive, they might have to float another bond.
They would have to do that, or see if they could increase this bond to a higher level, because you probably won't get the same interest rate, more likely. But anyway,
Yeah.
it is what it is. So anyway, things are going forward. Another thing they're going to provide is air conditioning to all the elementary schools, which they all don't have them now.
Really?
Yeah, you would think they would in this day and age,
Holy,
wouldn't you?
what do they do? Meet out on the lawn?
Yeah, they do that, and the teachers hold fans for the little kids.
Oh, I see. Wow.
I think that's what they do.
I would have thought they had air conditioning.
Except when there's thunder and lightning, that could be a problem. But anyway, no, they don't. But they're going to. And also, there's a mechanical air conditioning system for the high school that needs a number of different controls
Aren't they all
changed and so
mechanical?
forth. Maybe not. It could be solid state today.
Really?
Digital. Yeah, could be.
Building-wide?
Might be. Never know.
I've heard of solid-state refrigerators, but
Yeah. Have you seen a
Buildings,
solid state
wow.
one? You can't even get into it.
no.
That would be a solid state, all right. Frozen shut, can't get into it. Okay, security cameras was another issue that they were talking about. And then guess how many cameras they're going to need for the whole district?
The whole district? About
Take a guess.
150.
Oh, that's double that, and you'll be all set.
Really?
Yeah, about 300 roughly.
How many TVs will they need?
It's not for TVs. This is for security system.
Well, I know that. But they're
And-
going to have to hire somebody to watch them.
Well, actually, you know how many terabyte required to do this right now?
Terabytes aren't going to watch them. They'll just
No.
store it.
It stores it. But take a guess on that one.
How many?
How many terabyte they're using currently? And they may have to up
Currently, I don't know. They probably have, I'll go 20 terabytes, but they're going to need about 100.
it. They're using 100 right now.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
I knew. He
How
wouldn't
far
know
back
this.
do these things go?
Yeah, they go a ways. But anyhow, they
Usually it
want
rotates on a week. How far back does it go?
about that far. Okay.
Thank you for your clear direction.
You're welcome, buddy. So anyway, a lot of these cameras are going in buses.
Oh.
And they're going to put, on average, in the new bus,
Well,
about 3 cameras in each bus. And the new cameras have the ability to actually observe, I think, almost 360 degrees within the bus.
oh, like a wide angle.
Yeah.
Okay. Or fisheye or whatever.
Yeah. So they're going to do that. That's
Well-
good for the safety of the kids out there,
The
folks.
safety also of the drivers.
And for the drivers as well, you bet. Let me see. One of the little critters was making a lot of problems in the back. I wonder who that was. Oh, it was Johnny.
Well,
Or it was David.
sometimes issues arise, and that can be a very valuable piece of information.
Yeah, sure can be. Strategic process update. For that, it was quite detailed as far as strategies being used. So you want to check that on OCCTV.org, the complete meeting and that portion of it. There's a lot to it, a lot of context. Repeat every student exceeds report. I don't know if you're aware, but there's a thing in the state of Michigan where there's a report that has to be an annual report given by every school district. And it's called the report, every student exceeds report.
Every student
Exceeds report.
How does that fit on a bell curve?
Well, it kind of slides off the top, but the way it works is that this particular information provides basic information, test scores of what goes on within the state as well as your own district, folks.
Right.
Charts, graphs, those kind of things, comparing you against others within the district
Yeah.
and within the state. Comparison to all the state scoring, for example, which, you know,
In various
they're running
subjects.
various subjects, yeah. So there's a lot of information out there. And
I just didn't like the title.
no, I don't know what they call it internally, but that's what it is with the state.
All right.
And so they have to fill this report on an annual basis. Safety was a question that a questionnaire was sent out to both teachers and, of course, to residents or I want to say parents to the children to see the reaction on what they felt safety was for the school system.
Oh.
Interesting to note there that the parents felt that it was more safe than what the teachers did. But now this was taken a few months back, when all the hoopla was going on.
Well, the parents have never tried to control a classroom.
No, that's true. That's true. But keep in mind that a lot of the shootings and so forth that occurred about the same time that this happened. Of course,
Yeah, but
teachers.
it's not all shooting either.
No, but the teachers are very concerned about the safety of kids.
Yeah.
Certainly, that added to it, and also had an impact, believe it or not, on the test scores that these kids had. Apparently there's anxiety built up, for the students in school where their test scores didn't prove as strong as they expected to be.
And then what happens?
Well, they just have to concentrate on the next year and see what they can do in terms of performance and what the teachers can do to
Well,
adjust the curriculum.
I worked for a guy at GM that used to say, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it.
That's true. That's true. But they can measure it and they can figure it out. Matter of fact, curriculum resources were approved for 2018-2019. And to the tune of roughly one group of programs is $33,196 roughly, and the other one is $190,000. So that was all approved and sent forward. So there's some things that's going to happen, to the benefit of the kids out there. Sam Barna, who does a very good job in terms of the way he handles recommendations to the school. He's the one that recommended the procedure to have 2 65-passenger buses included in the budget under the general fund, and they cost about $79,000 per bus.
Is this because of increased student body or because buses are wearing out?
No, and matter of fact, we talked about that at the last, minutes by minute, remember? And we said that these are buses that the wheels on the bus didn't go round and round anymore.
I see.
So anyway, they want to replace these 2 buses. And also, he got approval for 2018-2019 budget.
Good.
Good job out there, Sam Barna. Now, employee resources. They've hired a company who has looked at hiring a couple new employees with the school system, and contracts were approved
Like
for these 2
headhunters?
employees. Like a headhunters, I think. That's what it is.
Okay.
But anyway, so they were pretty happy with the choices,
Okay.
and the people were approved. High school students, let me see, funds and grants were looked at as well. Again, it's very detailed. Go to occtv.org, and we'll talk more when we come back right after this. Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we've just finished talking about the Oxford School
Board of Education.
Board of Education. Got it. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Oxford Area Cable Communications Commission, of which you were there.
Yes,
And that meeting was held on July 2nd. It was a special meeting. It was held right here in the studio.
that's right.
Okay, Ed Hunwick is the president, but he was absent for this particular meeting. And I think it was an approved absent. Shar Sotheby picked up the gauntlet, or the gavel, whichever you want to call it. And let me see, Jacob Newby serves on the board as the treasurer, and Maureen Helmuth is the secretary, serves on the board. And of course, William Service, who was the manager of the TV station.
Manager, he was there.
He was there.
And our
you
head
were
of
there.
production, Terry Stiles, was also
And
there.
Terry Stiles was there as well. So anyway, so they got started with Pledge of Allegiance, and agenda was approved. And public, not on the agenda. They called for people. Anybody got anything to say? Nope.
Nope.
Nobody there.
Yep.
Okay. At least if they were there, they're very silent. Okay.
If only we provided chairs for them.
Oh, that's how you get out of that. Okay. Hey, keep an eye on this guy. He's pretty slippery. So unfinished business was the next area that they talked about. And they want to know the status of the OCTV facility, the new one that's going to be built at Seymour Lake Park.
Yes.
And William
Did-
Service gave a report. And can you tell me more?
Well, what the designs are coming along just fine. What Bill really wanted was an additional 15 feet added to the length of our building to give us approximately 3,000 square feet.
520 square feet additional.
Well, additional, but total, they
Right.
bought 3,000.
Right.
And there was a lot of discussion about, how much it was going to cost, and finally they did approve the amount that he
Yeah,
requested.
and
I
that
think
was
about-
done later on. You just stole my thunder, and here comes the lightning. It's going
Oh.
to get you. Okay.
Don't ask me a leading question.
Don't get a leading question with a leading answer. I have no idea. So there's also, he brought up a point of an additional $25,000, which we're going to talk about that
Right.
a little down the
That's
line
a different
here.
story.
It is. Charter Spectrum. Apparently, when they signed a contract a number of years ago for PEG fees, there was no mention of PEG fees being
Well,
given.
they signed a contract for franchise fees, and those contracts didn't mention PEG fees at all.
Which is kind of what I said. Okay, right. So anyways, they said, where's our PEG fees? Well, they checked in the past. They found out that the PEG fees that they were not paid was over $1 million worth.
Accumulated over 10, 15 years,
15
whatever.
years, yeah. So not chump change, a
Not
lot of
chump
money.
change.
But can you get it retroactively? No. State says,
no.
no, you can't do that.
No, but it can be rectified.
It can be rectified, it can be corrected, right. And actually, Addison Township has brought up the same subject.
Good.
They haven't received PEG fees either, so they're kind of keeping an eye on what goes on with the
And by
Communications
comparison, the contract signed with AT&T, they do get PEG fees.
They do, yes. Isn't that something?
Yeah, and it amounts to about 2% of gross revenues, which can amount to quite a bit
Right.
over time.
Well, Terry Stiles is there, and our executive director producer here, and she is probably one of the most knowledgeable people I know within this area, at least.
She has done her homework.
Yep. And she suggested an attorney get involved in this that's very competent in working with communications.
Right, and he represents an awful lot of the PEG stations. We're a PEG station here in the state of Michigan.
What does
And,
PEG stand for? PEG.
Programming, Educational, and Government. I knew
Right.
you'd ask that.
He came prepared. Right. And those fees go solely to the station involved. Is that right?
As opposed to franchise fees, which you might say it goes to the municipality. The municipality decides, well, the station can have it all, or half, or some percentage down to, I think, 25%.
Right. The state has ruled, state and federal, that PEG fees go directly to the station.
Right.
So anyway, Terry Stiles is very much up on this thing and aware of what can be done and what can't be done. But she's also made these connections. One is with Mike Watso, who's very prominent in getting these funds for various cities and so forth.
Right.
Traverse City was one, for example.
Yes, Traverse City was his latest conquest, you might say. He managed to get, they were in the same position we were, and they managed to negotiate with Charter and get PEG fees reinstated, not the full 2%, but a 1%, which is a victory of any kind is a victory.
Right. I want to say that we have a lot going for us, in which I think these PEG fees will kind of be like Houdini, show up. I think at the last minute, once they get a conference, with Charter or Spectrum, as they're called now.
Well,
right?
that's just a Charter brand name.
Right.
It's still Charter.
It's still Charter.
Yeah.
We still have it on our vans, but we have Spectrum also.
Yeah. Well,
So both.
we
so-
pay the bill. It's to Charter, believe me.
Swinging door. We meaning he pays the bill. Okay, so anyway, motion was made to engage Mike Watsa for fees not to exceed $25,000. And that's the $25,000 we mentioned earlier that
Right.
Bill was interested in gaining. So it was
Yeah.
approved, and that motion was made by Bill Dunn, who serves on the board.
And that sounds like a lot, except that that would be a one-time cost. And if we only get 1% back, we would be getting $50,000 a year. So that's $25,000 ahead at the first year, and then $50,000 from then on.
It's a pretty good investment, I think, for the
I
dollar,
think so.
don't you think?
I think so.
Okay, so anyway, they thought so too, and they went ahead and approved it. Now, the second motion that came up was the $50,000 to provide 520 square feet additional to the the,
Deja vu.
yeah, they move Lapeer. No, well, maybe they'll move here, I don't know. But anyway, to the Seymour Lake area, the
Right.
building.
Right now, they've got the Parks and Rec offices Adjacent to that is the community center, and what they call phase 2 would be the new senior center, sharing walls. And at the end of that process is the new station for OCTV.
There's going to be lots of things going on in that park area.
Oh yeah,
A central location, which you folks want to go to. And I do want to mention, you know, that the Seymour Festival, you folks, will be over with by the time you see this, but is going to be held the 6th and 7th.
right. And
And-
both on the 6th and 7th, they're going to have fireworks.
Fantastic fireworks.
You betcha.
Yep,
And
yep.
there's not a bad seat in the house.
Right. The only
No
other,
obstructions.
The only other place I've seen where the fireworks are as good as these was up in the Bay City area, up the city of Bay City. They had fantastic fireworks. But anyway, you folks, if you get, hopefully you attended, you know, the park, enjoyed the entertainment out
And the
there
carnival.
last weekend, and the carnival. Yes. New business. They wanted to search for cable attorney to represent the local. And there's some discussion about that. They had one firm that they were interested in at first, but after the discussion, they decided that maybe they should table it and search a little bit further. Was that
Yeah,
pretty much
I think their big concern was getting a guy without any conflict of interest.
Yeah, and that's been a problem in the past.
Well, it's perceived, but
Yeah.
if it makes them feel better to select a person.
I know
that
Bob
is-
Davis used to do some of the work for him. He's a terrific attorney.
Oh yeah,
It's just that we don't want any conflict involved here, and it's a good point.
yeah.
So, anyway, manager's report. He talked about the HR meeting that they had with Paycheck, who is a company that's going to put together a handbook. Finally, can I say handbook again? We've been saying this every year. Will it ever show up? It might show up. Speaking of show up, what's going on?
Well then, we do have meetings. On 7/16 at 6 o'clock, the Addison Township Board of Trustees will be meeting. And on that same day at 6 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority, known as the DDA.
Yeah.
And on 7/17 at 7 o'clock, the Addison Township Fire Administrative Board will be meeting. And also at 7 that same day, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission. On 7/19 at 7 o'clock, the Village of Leonard Planning Commission. And on 7/20 at 4:30,
4:30.
NODA, which stands for
North
Oakland,
Oakland
Transportation
Authority.
Authority.
Okay.
Will be meeting, and they'll be meeting at the Village of Lake Orion offices. Noticeably absent by their own schedule is the Pollyant Trail Management Council. They're just not having a meeting this month.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Catch us next time right here on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.